So last week, just to prove that we're not Super 7 haters, I reviewed several of their TMNT figures, and I said I like them very much. There are some things that don't make sense, like the sprue, but they were good. This week, we got a lot of Super 7 news, and most of it is bad.
Okay.
So let's just go to our list. We'll start. Do you want the good news first, or do you want the bad news first?
Well, let's start with the good news, because we can talk.
All right.
We can talk them up.
Yeah.
Couple.
So Super 7 is just in wrestling, when someone has a lot of championship belts, we call them the belt collector. Super 7 is the license collector, the IP collector. They have so many licenses now, and they've added a few more to their collection.
Yeah.
The Busy World of Richard Scarry.
Wow.
Very interesting, yes.
Fun.
And then also, this is a big one, Sesame Street.
Yes.
So we don't know what these are going to be, whether they will just be reaction figures.
Right.
Or if they'll do ultimates, or maybe they'll just be mugs or bobbleheads or some other thing. Skateboard decks, I think they also make.
It's going to be, Sesame Street's going to be from a very specific episode that nobody but Brian Flynn remembers. That's what it's going to be.
It'll be from the first episode where Big Bird just looked so messed up, like that first Big Bird.
Right.
Or the one they visited the Big Bird character in another country where he's blue. But not only deep cuts. None of the hits.
There might be a Follow That Bird reference, but who knows? Did you ever watch Follow That Bird?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah,
that's a great movie.
The theatrical release for Sesame Street. Yeah. Kermit makes an appearance in that, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah, as reporter Kermit.
Yeah.
So last week, obviously, we talked about Boss Fight Studio doing Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
And we mentioned that we mentioned that Palisades was going to continue their Muppets line into the worlds of Fraggle Rock and Sesame Street. Obviously, that never came to fruition, but now we're getting Fraggle Rock action figures, and we're pretty close potentially to getting Sesame Street action figures. Yeah. So, those it's like I always think of Casper. It's like he couldn't move on because he had unfinished business. Well,
sure,
we're finishing up some of that business here in the toy world.
This just in, everybody. It sounds like Super 7 has just got the license for Casper as well.
Oh. Let's see them try to top those Pizza Hut. What the hell?
That was Alexa. I don't even know. Or Siri.
Alexa.
Siri, the Apple Watch just got on me.
I always wanted to know if we made a TikTok where it's like, Alexa, play the Reluctant Adult podcast. If it would actually do it. If somebody was like listening to it. Oh, my Alexa just started going. She is very sensitive.
Oh. Yours is sensitive. My parents' Alexa is just she's like a very naughty child. Like, she doesn't listen.
Oh, she doesn't listen now. She never knows what we want. She never gives us the right information. Like, she always it's like, I found this on the web. The common house spider breeds 3,000 times a day. It's like,
also from like the most
what the temperature was.
It's like from the most random website too.
Yeah, how does
where's she pulling this info from?
She needs some reputable sources. Like, you can't be going to Wikipedia for all of your information.
I get Wikipedia if I'm lucky. It's usually like from truckprovider.com or whatever. Some random site.
From AOLpress.com/onecoolkid24. Back in the day, AOL websites. Anyway, so that's the good news for Super 7. They've acquired some more licenses.
Seems like easy licenses to get.
Yeah, well, probably expensive. At least the Sesame Street one.
Okay,
but I don't know. Richard Scarry, I remember those books. Like, those. I do too. Characters.
They were fun.
Plush, probably.
Yeah, I always
can't think of any like toys.
No, I can't. I mean, you'd always go into like the random toy store, like the little mom and pop owned one.
Yeah.
That was just like barely scraping by, but they'd have like a little PVC Richard Scarry like toy that didn't move, and you're just like, hey, that's that cat.
Yeah. Or the worm in the apple.
The worm in the apple car, yeah.
But I think, honestly, if you think about that, that those stories and the characters in that, like, they could do a whole little world of like houses, like, because all the houses were like kind of cute. It's like everybody lived in something fun and everybody had a fun vehicle. Like,
right.
I get like this could be a mass market line. Like, I could see the figures looking like the Bluey figures.
Yeah. Moose Toys should get the secret. What is it? Is it the Many Worlds or
the Busy World?
The Busy World.
The Busy World.
Yeah, Moose should get on that. That would be a lot of fun.
Moose. Yeah.
But
no,
Super
Super 7. Yeah. Super 7 dug their claws into
$20 a figure minimum.
Right, $20. This one's definitely gonna be for the kids. $20 for the little worm, the little apple core. Yeah, those are gonna do good. So was that it? I feel there probably were they probably acquired some other licenses while we were sleeping, but
they probably
So here's the problem. Here's the whole thing with Super 7. They're really good at announcing licenses, and they're pretty good at showing off the 3D renders.
Very good at showing off the 3D renders, so much so that the online e-tailers that purchase them continue to just show the 3D renders as the product.
You never get the actual product photography. There's never a point where they update that to say, oh, this is what the actual things looks like.
Yeah.
And probably the reason for that is the final product does not always look so great. Right. And that is very much the case with this week's reveals, because people have started to get some of the new stuff. People got the Andre the Giant figure. People got the first series of Power Rangers. And there was one more, I think. Oh, no, there's some other bad news, but we'll talk about like the actual in-hand product first. So I saw this Andre the Giant figure, and this is not the first one they've done. This is at least the third Andre figure.
Yeah,
and the first two were fine. They were fine. They were good. Something happened. Something happened, and I don't know if it's the factory they're working with now. But the fact that they let these out into the public is a big problem, because there should have been red flags, stop signs. You should have tackled the guy at the conveyor belt. Tackled the guy at the conveyor belt.
The sample I saw, which it looks like it was one of the ones that should have gone out the back door and on some eBay seller's store page.
These look like rejected samples.
Yes.
They do. It looks awful. And if you're watching us on TikTok or wherever, there'll be a photo here as you can see, but I'll describe to you if you're listening to the podcast. So there's a torso joint, so it's like below the pectoral there's a cut. And that piece is a completely different color from the rest of the body.
Right.
It's like he was wearing the strangest tank top ever and he got sunburned just there. Two heads, each worse than the last. They're trying to give him the 5 o'clock shadow look, but it just looked like he stuck his face in some brown sugar or something and just wiggled it around. Yeah. Like it just looks bad. It looks just dirty. Yeah. It doesn't even necessarily look like Andre, which, again, this is not the first figure they've done. The hair, just not good. Like, there's nothing good. There's nothing good about this figure. A lot of it is reuse, too.
Yeah.
Because this is the third Andre. Same hands, it's the same body mold. They just really messed up the coloring this time, for some reason. Comes with a beer can, which is, again, a reuse. So there's not like anything in this set that if you're like a big Andre fan, you're like, oh, well, I need that to complete my Andre collection. Because he's wearing yellow tights and yellow boots, which is not like the classic Andre look, but it is from a very specific match in WWF, even though this is not licensed by the WWF, so they can't say or reference what this look is from. Yeah. This is just like a fantasy. Oh, like there was just a time before the WWF or after where he wore this outfit again. So just really bad. It's really, really bad.
It is bad. It is bad.
And it's a $55 figure. So I don't know how you buy this and you're like, this is fine. This is good. I like this.
This is acceptable.
Like there's got to be some sort of statement, right? Like Brian Flynn needs to come out and be like, we will not let this happen. We will course correct immediately.
But he won't.
I think but I mean, like, I think, well, this is why I feel like I could never work in toys, because I would see this And I would be like, burn them all. But then like they probably need the money from them to keep being a company.
Right.
So
I mean, someone out there is very proud of this. It's like, oh, you got the gold star of the week for your Andre the Giant. Oh, he's terrible though, but that's okay. You tried.
I mean, just compare it to the render. That's the thing.
I don't even think the render's that great. That's the other thing, though.
Okay, so that, I mean, yeah, you're not even starting from like the top. You're starting from like the middle, and then it got even worse. Right. There was something in the news today about you will be able to sue movies if the final movie was not accurately portrayed by the trailer.
What?
And I feel like even more so, we should be able to sue, or at least get our money back from toy companies if the final product doesn't look like the render that we pre-ordered. Like, obviously, there's that little disclaimer. It's the final product may vary. But if it's varying this much, it's a different toy. This is not fair.
I mean, this is an Ultimates figure, correct?
It's an Ultimates. Ultimates slap in the face.
Yeah, Ultimate piece of shit. I mean, I don't know.
Well, yes. I guess
I don't collect wrestling, and I'm even mad at this. So just
I would never buy this figure, but I don't like that it exists. I mean, it just makes well, here's the thing. Here's the bottom line on this. It makes people distrust the company. They are less likely to pre-order future releases, which endangers lines that I am interested in.
So let's lead that into what's coming next then. Because
So Super7 announced that they were doing Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and from the beginning I was like, why are you doing this? Hasbro has a perfectly fine Lightning collection that has been going on for years. They've completed multiple teams. They have multiple versions of each Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. They have human heads. They have all of the bells and whistles you could possibly want. Why are you making $55 versions of the characters that you can currently buy in stores for $20 or $25, whatever they are now?
Yeah.
And I've just never understood it. So people are starting to get Series 1, and they're showing off what the Rangers look like. So the Series 1 has Trini as the Yellow Ranger, which has Trini's head, and then I think it's Aisha, one of the later Yellow Rangers, and it has Tommy as the Green Ranger. So again, like you were saying before, I didn't think the 3D render of the heads, the human heads, or the masked heads, looked great. I didn't think they were better, first of all, than Hasbro's, and I just didn't think they looked good enough that I was like if Hasbro put that out, I would be like, I don't really like this. It's like the Zack head that Hasbro did. Like, I don't like that. They haven't done a good Zack yet. The other Rangers I feel like are passable, but so I didn't think the renders were good. The final product, I think the big problem is, first of all, the skin tone. It's very pale. It's like comic book colored pale. And then the eyes, instead of giving it that realistic, like Hasbro uses the 3D printing technology, Super7 has gone completely opposite direction. It's like one arch and then a circle. It looks like it's from like an Archie comic or something.
Okay.
Just not a high quality, not an ultimate product for the price tag.
No.
And then you can get into the engineering of the figures and the design. The elbow design, very awkward looking. These are not, even though they have the articulation technically, these are not super articulated figures because the articulation is an afterthought. These are not designed with being able to pose them in dynamic poses without that in mind. These are just, I don't know the process of creating them, but if you just look at them, you can tell that the joints are like, just put a joint there, and it's just not the kind of product I want. I will say, and I've said this from the start, I am very interested in the Zords because they're doing standalone Zords. Like Series 1 is the Tyrannosaurus Sword. Right. I have that pre-ordered from Entertainment Earth. I want to see those because I feel like that is where they can shine, because Super7 just has so much trouble with human faces. If you're buying a figure of a human and his or her face is visible, get ready to be disappointed because they just can't nail it. I just don't understand why they can't find somebody that can do a better job.
I mean, I think, are they more focused? Do they just want to do the job? Do they just want to say, like, this is just how we want to see it? This is our interpretation of it. We're not going for accuracy. We're just going by what our sculptor is saying we want it to be.
Do you think that Brian Flynn has action figure dysmorphia? Do you think that he looks at these figures and was like, yeah, that's...
It's almost like he's looking at him in a lens of, like, this is passable back in, like, 1995. Like, this makes sense.
Do you think that's what it is? He's like, he loves the nostalgia of it so much. He wants these to look like the older toys.
I was thinking about that.
Slightly better.
I was thinking about that because it's
that could be an explanation.
He's like, he's come out and said, we're making the toys that we always wanted as kids. So is he just going back and being like, yeah, I was 15, I was 10 years old in 1990, and I wanted something that wasn't made, but I want it still to look like it did and come out of the 1990s.
He's older than us, right?
He is. He's older than us. No, it is true. He is. I'm just saying, like, within that realm.
So if that's his excuse, I would like someone to point blank ask him, why don't your faces look better? Because it's not like like with companies like Jazzwares and their AEW line, it's like, okay, you'll get a stinker every once in a while.
Yeah.
Show me a good face that Super7 has done. Show me one good human face.
Well, we know it can be done.
I don't think you can.
Well, they do digital renders, but they don't do digital sculpting, right? And they don't do face prints.
No, I think that's what it is, right?
Is it really?
All done digitally. Yeah, that's what a digital render is. Like that. That's the thing that's created and then used to make the mold.
Interesting. Okay.
I think.
I was under the impression that he was just very against. Maybe that's McFarlane I'm thinking of. No, because even he was doing face scan stuff and digital renders back when The Walking Dead was big and he had that license. So I don't know who's not doing it.
It's just bad. I don't know who's sculpting these, but please just try somebody else. Just give somebody else a shot because these are just it's just not it. It's just not it, and it's not getting any better.
No.
So another piece of unfortunate news for Super7, they do the major wrestling figure podcast figures. I have Series 1. Series 2 went up for pre-order. It's still technically up for pre-order on like Entertainment Earth and Big Bad Toy Store. The price on Series 2 went way up because the wrestlers, Matt Cardona and Brian Myers, were given the choice. Do you want to lose some of the detail, or do you want these to cost more? And they said, no, let's make them as good as they can be. They're going to cost more. That's fine. So those are in production now. There's another duo of wrestlers. They're known as the Good Brothers. They've been in WWE. They're currently in WWE. They were in other organizations. They did Series 1 of their figures. Their figures definitely did not have all the bells and whistles that the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast figures had, because they're not as big of toy fans, obviously, as the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast guys. So those figures came out. There was also a problem, like one of the alternate heads had like the character has a long beard, but it got snapped off in production. So like the final mold didn't include it. So they had to end up sending like a head in the mail. Like they did that thing where it's like, it should have looked like this. We're going to send you the piece in the mail. So great. It was a make good. They put up Series 2, and Series 2 like had some more bells and whistles. They like included a personalized championship belt with each of the characters. It was announced this week that Series 2 is not moving forward. They did not meet the minimum requirement to produce those. So I don't know that I've ever heard of that happening before, where they put up a pre-order and it wasn't like a crowdfunding situation. They fully anticipated these getting made and they just didn't get enough orders. And that's the problem when you have lackluster product. Why would somebody say, yeah, let's try this again? Maybe it'll be better next time.
It just seems odd too, because I mean, I almost think that they're made to order. There shouldn't be any minimum cap.
Well, that's just that is how it works. That's how it works with
factories.
Like, you can't turn on the factory. It's not worth it. Yeah, to make the mold.
I get
the
that.
molds already exist, but yeah. So that is one of the realities of toys is you have to have. Yeah. You can't do like a limited edition of 5 unless you're like finding.
So
a
I mean,
factory
so
that
the
can
number
do
must
that.
have been so low. I mean,
Well, yeah,
these
it was probably pretty low. It was pretty low.
Super7 relies on a lot of e-tailers, and we've seen this, especially with all the discounts that have happened. They rely on a lot of e-tailers on the buy-in. So I'm imagining, potentially Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, the like, probably were like, yeah, we're still being burned on this first series a little bit. Nobody's really buying in on it. Maybe we shouldn't purchase the amount of units that we should for Series 2.
And that's total speculation on our part, but it makes sense. And that's what we're saying. If these figures linger, if you have to do deep discounts to get them out the door, retailers are not going to take the chance. Like, why would they? It doesn't make that's bad business sense to do that.
Right.
So, first impressions are very important in the toy business. So, not a good week for Super7. Another line that's hitting the shores now is series 1 of The Simpsons.
Oh.
So we don't have to worry about the human likenesses. So it's possible that these will be good. If you go on Entertainment Earth right now, I think it's Robot Scratchy is in stock. So only one of them. I'm not sure how that works. But I'm very interested. I think I will probably order at least Mo when it comes in stock.
Yeah, you like Mo. I
like Mo because he's just plain Mo. He's not Mo, like fancy Mo, because like Homer is astronaut Homer.
Right.
It's like I don't want astronaut Homer. Give me regular Homer. It's gonna be 30 years before we get regular Homer at this rate.
Yes, I haven't seen any new announcements for the Simpsons line.
I mean, they've announced like 6 or 7 lines, and we don't even have one yet. So good. Stop announcing stuff. It's ridiculous.
I am interested in the Robot Itchy and Scratchy. Maybe Robot Itchy killed Robot Scratchy on the boat over and sank his tanker, and that's why they didn't get. It's like a little meta. Meta.
And then Poochie's in series 1 too. Poochie went back to his home planet.
Yes, there he goes.
Died on his way. Yeah, I might get Poochie too because that's just so fun.
That's.
I mean, there's never going to be like a different version of Poochie, so might as well get it. That's kind of like having Homer, right?
It is.
So Super7, we want good toys. We want you to do well. In theory, it's just I need Brian to be like, listen, I acknowledge where there are issues, and these are the steps we're taking to rectify that. And it could be as simple as it's a bad factory, but then I don't know what you do. I don't know the climate of toy factories right now. Like, are there other factories available? Like, we've seen with the Hasbro stuff, these Dungeons and Dragons figures, so much breakage,